Hey, what's up guys? It's Andrew Pecoraro from Pecksmetalpicks. Today I'm going to be reviewing the new EP called The Dark Mark from a Canadian band called Horcrux. They're a metalcore band. This EP just came out February 16th. It has 6 songs on it, and they get a lot of inspiration, I'm guessing, from Harry Potter, just because the band's name is Horcrux, and they have songs such as Wormtail, Dark Mark, stuff like that. So if you're familiar with Harry Potter and Lord Voldemort and all that stuff, then a lot of this probably makes sense to you. If you're not familiar with those words, then read some Harry Potter because your childhood must have sucked. Anyway, we're going to jump pretty quickly into the music. I don't know too much about these guys. I think that this might be their second EP, but they're still a really young band, and I only say that because I saw a couple other songs from them on YouTube. But yeah, really I don't know too much about these guys, so I'm excited to just jump into it and check them out. The one cool thing is every single one of these songs has a music video, so that's pretty cool. Are you serious that loud? Oh yeah. Those are pretty good high scream too. I'm always a fan of high screams in metalcore. So one of the things, you're totally right out loud, but I'm not going to say it on stream. One of the things that I forgot to mention in their history, it's right here in front of me, this band's made up of members from A Skylit Drive, Of Reverie, and Here Comes Bigfoot. I think everybody probably knows who A Skylit Drive is. I think I've heard of a band called Of Reverie, although it might not be the same one. And I have not heard of Here Comes Bigfoot, but it sounds like this was a bunch of bands, a bunch of members who came from bands of varying degrees of success and just decided that they wanted to make music together. So I think that's one of the reasons why this is automatically going to be a lot higher quality than most new bands that you see. And I think that's one of the reasons that they're not making a lot of rookie mistakes. One of the things that I noticed already and wrote down was the use of synth sounds in that last song. Really, really good job, because a lot of new bands, what they end up doing is they create one focal point in the song, and normally it's around the breakdown where they include some electronic sounds or just some sort of effects like that, and it draws a ton of attention away from what the other elements of the song are. And it kind of, like, by adding a new layer, the synth layer, it actually ends up making the songs a little bit more one-dimensional, because instead of having it be a cool bonus effect, it kind of becomes everything about that part of the song. Everything begins to revolve around it. So they actually included a decent amount of it in the background in that one, and I think it was like you could almost listen to that song and not even realize it, that was what they were doing. And overall, I think that kind of is a good testament to show that, you know, these guys aren't messing around, and they've been around the block. At least a couple of the members, you know, I can't speak about all of them, but the fact that they have a member from A Skylit Drive, I think, is really gonna help these guys have a lot of maturity when they, you know, take the stage and that kind of stuff. So this is the next song. This one is the first one from that's named after a Harry Potter song, so we'll see if this one has anything to actually do with Harry Potter. I'd be really surprised if they just get a bunch of names from Harry Potter and don't have any lyrics revolve around it. Yeah, man, I like this a lot too, Fight. One difficult part about reviewing EPs is that they're so short that it's tough to comment on it during the song while also writing, so I only have 6 songs to really do this with. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about the next thing I'm going to write about while this next song plays is these guys have a pretty good range of vocals. They rely on the mids a lot, but they definitely throw in some highs and some lows too, which I think is a pretty important part just of any band. I think a lot of metalcore bands these days, they end up getting... It's not that they even end up getting stuck in a certain sound. I think it's just that they have vocalists who can't do more than a certain range. And I think that's one of the most limiting factors when it comes to a band, is if your vocalist can't have some sort of dynamic presence in the song, then how can it be that interesting? Then, I mean, and I know I'm totally biased here, I probably don't give enough credit to, like, guitar players and drummers in general, but, like, I do normally believe that the vocalist is what makes a band really have the sound that they have, and that's what makes them unique. And I think Horcrux has a pretty bright future just because their vocalist has a lot of capabilities, and especially with how aggressive these guys are. I haven't really mentioned that yet, but there aren't that many metalcore bands these days who just come out swinging, no cleans, pretty fast-paced the whole time. I mean, yeah, I haven't really seen them, like, take a break. They've had some breakdowns and stuff, which is also great, but they haven't had to rely on interludes or even build-ups, really. And I'm kind of looking at bands like August Burns Red. Their last album, almost every single song had an interlude in it, or just a part where everything chilled out for like 30 or 40 seconds. And when you do that, it kind of cuts the song in half. And if you do that too many times, it sort of ruins the flow of the album from going song to song to song. It feels like you go half of a song, break, half of a song, then all of a sudden you're in a new song, and when you put the interludes in different parts, it just makes it feel more choppy. But this one, I feel like I could just listen, you know, especially 6 songs, you could slam through this piece of cake and just listen to repeated times, because it just flows the whole time. And that's something that I have really been looking for in a new band lately. So many of the new ones, you know, they mess around with cleans, and that's not a bad thing, but you have to know what you're doing to do that as well. And I think these guys are doing themselves a favor by staying away from that. They're pretty solid so far. I like that song more than the first one. I'm liking them both a lot. I think the second one was a little bit more versatile. Like, now, after listening to the second one, I think the first one relied on a little bit of the same pattern, maybe a little bit too much, but it doesn't blow your mind or anything, but it's well put together. I think, yeah, honestly, that's what I think we were all expecting. You know, I don't think these guys were necessarily going to show us the most impressive thing that we've ever seen, but for a new up-and-coming band, solid stuff. That's all you could even ask for at this stage. Better than most debut EPs people send me. Oh, did I accident? Oh, no. Yeah. So this third one is called The Dark Mark. I was actually writing the review and not paying a ton of attention to the lyrics of that last one, so I totally missed whether it had Harry Potter references or not. I was hoping the lyrics might be down here, but they're not. What about in this one? Kind of. I don't think it's like specifically Harry Potter, but just sort of the same themes. Alright, let's go. Oh, that was some good screams. Yo, what's up, Micah? How's it going, dude? Dude, they're pretty good so far. I'm impressed. Thanks, Micah. Dude, that guy was such a dick. Like, I do this live. I can't double check everything I say after talking for an hour. Like, you know, like sometimes I'm gonna say something and it's gonna come out stupid, but it's live and I'm recording it, and like this is all one take, so thanks for the support, man. I wish everybody could be that understanding. So this last song, The Dark Mark, this was easily the heaviest song we listened to so far. It had a couple different breakdowns in it, and I think showed the most versatility in the vocals. There was a part pretty early on that really impressed me. I'm going to try to find it again. It's right here. So I'm always a fan of high screams in metalcore. I'm not that sure why they aren't used more. It's sort of become just a purely deathcore thing, and it's not even like a bunch of old metalcore bands used to do high screams, but if you've looked at bands, what's a really good example? Adestria is some of their old material is perfect example of what I'm talking about, or like really old school Texas in July. That stuff was super high pitch. And I think it's great, because like I'm talking about, I think you really need a lot of versatility when you come into metalcore. If you just rely on the mids, then it really makes your songs only so interesting. It's like a threshold that you'll never get past if you only have mid screams. And these guys, I've seen a couple instances of lows, but so far these highs I think have been the most impressive thing. Right, he gets a little low here. And then all the highs. So I just want to count really quick, because this is exactly what I'm talking about. This is such a good example from these guys. This is the type of stuff that bands need to be doing, because the more interesting the song is, the more like replay value it has. Count how many different vocals this guy does here. Some of the changes are sort of slight, so I could, maybe you won't count them, but alright, you get the lows. and then the highs. These are a little different highs. Then you get back to the mids, and then that last line is just a different style of mids. That was like 5 different types of vocals within 20 seconds, and that is just something I think a lot of new bands need to learn, because when you end up doing mids too, it makes the song sound like it is much more repetitive, and a lot of it has to do with the cadence of the screams as well. I feel like I could pull up a million examples of new metalcore bands, and the cadence of it is always the same, and it's like the screams, each syllable gets pronounced at the same time as the beat, and so it kind of makes it choppier too. But when you do different vocals and it sort of sounds like a back and forth between different people, that's awesome. I still remember back to like Bullet for My Valentine, Hand of Blood. It's not even that cool anymore, but when I was in like 6th grade listening to that, I remember thinking that there were like two vocalists, because I just didn't think somebody could do both of the distinct screams that happen like within the first 30 seconds or so. And maybe that makes me kind of biased, but ever since then I've just thought that that's the coolest thing ever, and I'm super appreciative of bands like this who do a really good job of mixing it up like that, because it makes me keep coming back for sure. Anyway. Anyway, alright, we'll jump into the 4th song. Is it just me, or does this song sound kind of different than the other 3? Like, it's almost a different band. Hey, what's up? P. Kubertis. I don't even know how to abbreviate your name to say it out loud. Just got suggested this EP on Apple Music to find an hour later doing a review stream of it. Yeah, man, these guys are pretty good. I mean, I'd recommend it. If you got suggested it as well, I definitely recommend it. So, that last song I actually thought was kind of a different sound than the first three, and I think it really had to do with the instrumentals. I'm gonna do a quick little check. I'm not gonna check it with the first song though, because the first one had the synth stuff, which they haven't really done since then, actually. I don't know, I feel like the the instruments are just like a completely different tuning or something here. That's pretty funny out loud. I haven't heard of them. Cool. Alright, we got 2 songs left. I really like how these guys have a music video for every song. I'm not, like, I can't watch it really and type at the same time, but it makes it a lot more entertaining. Okay, I went to a bar with Jamie and Sam because they didn't card me, and I met a dude and he gave me his number, and he just texted me today, and whoa, he doesn't know I'm underage. Oh man. How old are you again, Jill? A year and a half, so you're 19 and a half. Oh man, that's pretty funny. How far away do you guys live from each other? Alright, last song on the album, or the EP.
I feel it in my bones that something's lost inside. I'm reaching out, but I know I need to see this through my own eyes.
Whoa, these are the first cleans in the whole thing. Oh, dude, this was a pretty cool spot. I haven't talked too much about this song, just because, like, I didn't want to interrupt it too much, since we're so close to the end, but I'm really enjoying the addition of cleans to this song. In the very beginning, when I first heard their sound, I thought that maybe this was going to be one of those bands that did 50-50, and initially I was really stoked that they didn't, because it would kind of ruin their fast-pacedness. Even in this song, obviously, when they, bring in the cleans, they kind of cut out the fastness a little bit, which is fine. If they did that in every song, I think if they did it in every song, it'd make the EP a lot weaker, so I'm glad that they didn't do that. I think the fact that they have it in one song, even if they did it in two of them, but the fact that it is in one is such a strong move, because it's like a little teaser of like, yeah, we can do cleans. We can make songs that transition in and out of the fast-pacedness and in and out of the heaviness and sort of weave this in there. But we're not relying on a clean chorus to get through the songs. We don't need it. I'm more and more impressed with this, with each song. I feel like as I'm listening to it, I thought that I had a pretty good grasp on it, and it seems like every single song has done something entirely new. This is actually what I really need to put in the review. Each song has done something entirely new. The first one had that synth stuff, so immediately I was like, okay, they're going to probably have a lot of synth stuff. The next song doesn't have any of that, just a pretty solid metalcore song. The third one had way more of the high-pitched screams, way more of the breakdowns. By far the heaviest song on the album, I think. Really helped them live up to like the dark image that I feel like they're trying to give themselves. The fourth song, I think that was the one that sounded like an entirely different band, because it was more of a melodic metalcore song, with the instruments not nearly down-tuned as much. Super solid right there too. That's sort of like their interlude of, a little bit softer. Then the fifth song was kind of a standard one again too. I mean, it had a couple of good sections of lows in it. But then you get to the sixth song, and I was like pretty much ready to wrap this up. And then they hit you with the clean singing, and that on its own is just an entirely new surprise that I'm surprised that they waited to drop on you until the end. But it's pretty cool actually, because if they put that in the first song, I probably would have been like, ah, damn. Like, I wonder how many songs they're going to put cleans in, how many boring choruses I'm going to have to listen to. But they totally saved me from that, and they put it at the end, where now I'm kind of like, oh shit, I want to see more of this. I actually want to see what they can do with these cleans. And I feel like that's pretty much the story of every single song. This EP, which I think is exactly what a band's debut EP is supposed to do, it's serving as a huge teaser for an upcoming debut album, for a full-length album, where I really would like to see them expand on all of the elements of the individual songs that I just talked about. I would love to see them just blow up from there even more, you know, like continue doing all of that and exploring it, because each new song has had such different elements going on. I feel like these guys, they have a lot more in store. I would be really surprised if this is just like the end of the line for them. I think that the album is going to include a lot of the things that I talked about, and then based on how many surprises this has had in store, I think the album will have a bunch of surprises that will really impress people too. So I'm gonna go back a little bit just because I wanted to mention the cleans and really draw attention to that. I don't want to say this, but it kind of sounds like Crown the Empire on the cleans. This was the part that I wanted to do. This is the sort of transition that I think also just really stands out. Not a lot of bands do this. I think what a lot of bands do, we sort of talked about it in the New Age review, is when you're doing the cleans and you have sort of found yourself in a softer spot of the song, a lot of bands, to get into the heaviness, they do this sort of drop technique where everything just immediately stops and then it picks back up right away. But I really like this section right here that comes up in 3 or 4 seconds, because it does sort of do the drop that I was talking about, but it does it, to me, it sounds sort of muted. Like, it's not meant to be like a drop purely back into the heaviness. It's kind of a transition of, we were doing the cleans. If I had to guess what's going to happen next, is they're going to do the cleans, he's going to finish it up, they're going to do a muted drop, and instead of going into a breakdown, they're just going to pick it back up, like right at mid-speed with mid-screams. That's my guess right now. I wasn't really wrong. Okay. I guess I'll wrap up my thoughts for those of you on YouTube, that way I can end it, and you don't have to listen to me type. I'm going to finish writing the review basically based on everything that I said. Like I said, tough to write a review of a 6-song EP in real time, just because you're always rushed to try and fit in as much stuff as you can, especially with a band like this. Like I said, very impressive display of versatility. Some songs had cool guitar shredding, some songs had synth effects. Song ended up having clean, some were heavier than others, some just had an entirely different instrumental style. It was almost like an EP of singles. Oh my god, I don't know why I'm yawning all of a sudden. It was almost like an EP of singles, where each song could totally stand on its own. I don't think that there's a single one in here that you could just write off as being a filler song. I think they're all served a purpose of being here, and that purpose was to show you that these guys are for real. I think this is a way more legit EP than I expected. I mean, we know that they have a couple members from different bands, so you know, they have a couple veterans to say the least, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was and as impressive as it was. I think I'm definitely looking forward to the debut album from them. I think if anything, not a criticism, but I just think if anything, what I would hope for on the album is even more high screams, even more low screams. You know, that third song with all the breakdowns really gave us a good look at the high-pitched screams. I feel like I didn't get exactly all of the low screams that I would hope for. I think there were a lot of good teaser ones, but dang, dude, I just really want to see these guys go all out, like a 20-second just super heavy section of pure screams and just deep lows, I mean, along with, you know, the down tuning that we saw in that third song. So not really a criticism, because they did such a good job of all of that. Not a criticism, just a thought that I think would make me love them even more, and, you know, make it even more successful. High screams, low screams, we all scream for ice cream. So, you know, props to the guitar, props to the vocalist. I know I give a lot of love to the vocals normally, but I will also say the instrumentals I thought were also really good. They kind of remind me of Kingdom of Giants, just in terms of how fast-paced they were. The guitars a bunch of times were just like off, shredding, doing their own thing. It's always good. Never a dull moment, that's for sure. Whether it was cool effects going on in the background or just, you know, straight up pummeling instruments coming from these guys, it never felt like they were doing fillers instrument-wise either. And also not being annoyingly shreddy, which I think you have to give a band credit for. Like, they didn't throw in a guitar solo just to say, well, like, we have a guitar solo. Like, that's so pointless to do, because when bands do that, it clearly doesn't fit in. And so, great job that they didn't fall into that trap either. Just overall, a very mature effort from a band that might be new, but I think is going to stick around for a while, because the members, based on their bio, I think have been around for a while. So overall, pretty impressed with these guys. Like I said, the album is called The Dark Mark from Horcrux. Pretty badass album art, and yeah, pretty badass guys from the music that I've heard so far. I haven't looked where exactly it's available, but I'm sure it's available everywhere. So definitely check it out, and, you know, give these guys some support. I think there's so many new metalcore bands these days, it's easy to get discouraged and just be like, oh man, it's so tough to find some actually quality metalcore until they blow up huge, like, I don't know, Wage War, like their debut album that came out a couple years ago. But that's pretty rare for a band to just blow up so clearly like that. There's so many bands like Horcrux that have that quality stuff, but it's so saturated that it makes them really difficult to find. So this is my recommendation. This is your wake-up call, I don't know, your warning to check these guys out and help support the bands that really deserve it. Because these guys, I think, very impressed. Can't believe that it's such an early release from them. Without further ado, guys, thank you so much for watching. I don't have another one of these planned with a band, but I'm enjoying doing them and putting them up on YouTube. Makes me a little bit more attentive, and I think that results in better reviews. So for all of you guys watching, all 50 of you based on my average viewership of the first couple, I really appreciate the support. Thank you everybody on YouTube, all the subscribers. You guys are awesome. And of course, to the people who watch live, you guys are incredible. If you are a YouTube subscriber and you would like to join us live, I'm going to put the link to my Twitch in the information below. And yeah, we'd love to have you. I mean, I get a lot of my feedback and thoughts and opinions from bouncing them off viewers, and yeah, I don't know, more people in the community the better, right? So hopefully we'll see you guys there for that. And yeah, like I said, check out Horcrux, get their new EP, support these guys. I'll put all of their Facebook, Instagram, Twitter stuff down below too. And huge shout out to them for reaching out and being such cool guys to send me the EP and let me put this up on YouTube. So thank you so much everybody for the support, and go support these guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Dude, I think I messed it up. I'm pretty sure that this Michael LaBelle is a Skylit Drive screamer. But yeah, Michael LaBelle does the vocals, and he's also the current screamer and rhythm guitarist for A Skylit Drive. Whoops! I might have to, I'm glad we're still recording, I might have to cut somewhere in the video and put this in there, because I was totally talking about all of the members as if they were members of, like, past members of other bands. And I knew that A Skylit Drive had a bunch of former members, so I just thought that he was, like, you know, an older one, sort of like maybe this Brian White guy who did vocals for, like, random years and stuff. Totally did not realize that he's actually the screamer and rhythm guitar right now. He's like one of the 3 current members of A Skylit Drive. So that actually makes even more sense why the band is so mature already and so good, is because he does come from a huge band and he has current experience being in that band. That makes way more sense why they're so solid already. Normally you expect these new bands to make such rookie mistakes, but he's been in A Skylit Drive for 3 years now. No wonder his screams are so good. I mean, I kept talking about, like, oh man, this guy, like, listen to such range, and, like, he does have such good range, but that was my own fault for not doing the proper research ahead of time and just kind of winging it, because I totally didn't realize that he is, like, actually a good screamer, you know, not just like just a guy who decided to make a metalcore EP. You know, he is, like, a pretty well-respected screamer. And as far as A Skylit Drive's new music goes, I'm more of a fan of the new stuff than the old stuff, just because they kind of dropped the super high-pitched, clean singing stuff. And I really liked how that interacted with his screams, apparently. So, whoops, my bad, Michael. I just saw this because you retweeted my post on Twitter, and I looked and I saw that your bio still has A Skylit Drive in it, and so that's 1000% my bad. Oh my god, A Skylit Drive broke up. Alright, double cut. I'm not putting any of that in there. What the fuck? When did they break up? I thought they had recently put out material, but the last thing they put out was in 2015? Dude, I am so all over the place. I'm just going to add this whole clip in at the very end of the review because... So, technically they're on hiatus. They broke up in 2016. Their Twitter has 2007 to 2016. Yeah, clearly I haven't paid attention to A Skylit Drive in a long time. I thought that this album right here in 2015 came out like closer to here. I know exactly what the album cover art looks like and everything. Either way, Michael has been in a serious band. I liked his vocals in this album. He knows what he's doing, but clearly he's still fresh enough on the scene to make an entirely new band and have that one be successful as well. So, hats off to him and the other guys in Horcrux. You guys are doing a great job. Okay, I'm going to officially end it at that. Jeez. Thank you, Jamie, for pointing that out.